will go on the record saying this, that Japanese build quality is better than anywhere else I've ever seen. You want a straight wall, they'll build you a straight wall. However, it's going to be made out of garbage. The doors are going to be made out of basically laminated cardboard. I mean, I'm exaggerating a little bit, but have you ever knocked on a Japanese door?
So on a typical apartment, the doors are thin, the walls usually are thinner, and you see on online forums a lot of complaints on foreign online forums. Of complaints, you can hear the neighbor go to the toilet at all times of day and night, and it's just kind of frustrating after.
Especially when your neighbor apparently has IBS or something, so that's very unfortunate for them. But what I will say is that the wall situation, that's a little bit overboard. Okay, I will say this. That is definitely the case in the cheaper apartments, but once you get to anything that's above maybe, I don't know, 150, 200,000 a month or something like that, generally speaking, they're going to, especially if it's like a concrete building, you're not really going to hear your neighbors too much.
So older buildings usually have a tendency, when they're built out of concrete, to be more solid and more quiet and kind of...
Exactly. And then also the older buildings especially tend to be made out of wood. So if you ever heard the terms in Japan, apato and mansion, do you know what the difference between the two is?
No, actually.
So apato is made of wood.
That's it?
That's it. Wow. Or it could be a light steel frame as well. But generally speaking, it's made of wood. It's apato. Not generally speaking. That is it. And if it's made out of reinforced concrete, it is mansion. Doesn't matter how big or small it is. It could be a tower mansion, as they call it, the big skyscrapers. It could be 3 stories or less. Doesn't matter.
I didn't know that. I thought it was based on the size.
Nothing to do with that, no. So if it's made out of concrete, it is mansion. And those are the higher end ones. Those you're not really going to hear your neighbors as much, generally speaking. But yeah.
So the common problem in those apartments is that the build quality is great, but the materials used are usually cheaper.
Yes. So that is basically a function of Japanese people not wanting to spend a lot of money because they didn't have to before, right? And like if you were to live in a place from the bubble era, right? I mean, late 1980s, early 1990s, let's call it. The materials that they used back then were very good, actually. You can go into, there's a series of buildings in Tokyo, it's called domus, D-O-M-U-S. And those are like solid wood doors, like oak doors, you know? And really, I mean, they're all carpeted, unfortunately, and you can't change that out, but plush carpet, amazing carpet, nice. Yeah. But if you're talking about, anything after that, people are very, very against spending more money than they need to. If you remember back when they changed the price, there's an ice cream bar. It's called, what was it? Gari Gari Kun?
Yes.
You know that one? Like the blue one? Do. Yeah, so they raised the price by 10 yen. 8 cents, let's call it, right? And they actually had a press conference where, like, the CEO and everybody...
apology.
They did a bit... Yep, you remember about that, probably, right? So that's the kind of country that we're in right here. So they expect to be able to get a large place, a livable space in a good area, for not that much money. They're going to have to cheap out in a lot of things, And that's just the unfortunate reality about it.
What's the story with windows? It's always a single pane window.
Yeah.
Although it's a country that's very mountainous, that gets relatively cold in winter, very cold in some areas.
Yep.
That gets very hot in summer, very humid in most of the country. And so you have the air cons running all year long, either to cool or to heat. But the moment you turn them off, everything goes away because it's poorly insulated.
Oh, yeah. And let's talk about how cold the bathrooms and the hallways are while we're at it, because Japanese places don't have central heat or AC. Yeah, that would be, again, just an unfortunate part of Japanese cheapness in general when you're talking about, wanting to save on, like, cost cutting. That's not cheapness. It's just because dual pane glass is so much more expensive than single pane glass. Although I will say, for anything built past maybe 2012 or something like that, even some stuff from like the late 2000s, you'll be seeing dual pane glass more and more.
So it's changing a lot.
It is changing. I mean, even your office might have dual pane. I could take a look. But triple pane? No.
No.
The only time I've ever seen triple pane was in Hokkaido. Right? They build differently up there because it is just so cold.
Yeah, that goes to minus 30, 40
Yeah,
Celsius.
it's Siberian weather basically at that point. And so you'll see, it's rare, but you'll see triple pane glass up there sometimes.
So if you're not getting double pane windows and you have relatively cheaper built material and you don't have more than one washroom, what exactly are you paying for these very expensive properties? What is the is it just the land, the size that you're paying
It's
for?
the location, it's the size of the place. Yeah, look, I will say there's every once in a while you will fall into you'll walk into a place that is actually well built, let's call it, right, with good materials. But even still, it's not going to be amazing, right? So like a good example would be there's the developer called Mori. They have, like if you know Roppongi Hills, that's them. Omotesando Hills, anything that has hills in their name generally is Mori. And
Azabudai Hills.
Azabudai Hills, that's their newest one. Yeah, so Toranomon Hills is the one that was built right before Azabudai Hills, just down the street from it. And they have what's called the residential tower, right? And their penthouse suites are very nice, right? As you would expect. But compared to, say, New York or, London or probably Paris or Berlin even, the materials that they're using, maybe not Berlin. Berlin's its own thing. But, compared to the other cosmopolitan cities, it's just like, it's okay. It's not, wow, it's not jaw-dropping, And even when you have some of the best architects in Japan designing a place, like Kengo Kuma, for instance. He did the Park Court Hinokicho, the tower building, it's called. It's over like right near Roppongi Midtown. The exterior is amazing. The lobby is phenomenal. But the rooms are absolutely boring, and that's just because they don't care so much. People want to be in that building. They don't really care about the inside. I mean, this is probably the biggest reason, is because, again, at the end of the day, they're building for Japanese audiences, and Japanese people just they tend to not invite people over.
That's true.
I don't know how many people, you have to be on a very, very good relationship with somebody for them to even think of having you over. And even still, a lot of the times they're going to be just like saying, "Oh, I'm so sorry. It is filthy. It is,
but it's
a mess.
Clean.
But it's perfectly clean." Yeah, but it's just not part of Japanese culture to have people over like it is in the West. So that's why, people just don't really. That's probably another reason that they don't care so much about the interiors.